There's scenes here at Perry Park.
Chris Lynn has taken the wild thing and sent him.
Oh, Bateman! Yes!
And welcome back to the Beyond the Sidelines podcast. It's episode 49. We're getting ever so close to that episode 52. I'm with Finn.
No Angus.
There's no Angus.
No Angus.
Which is a bit weird.
Dreams do come true.
Dreams do come true, you know. I rubbed a little magic, what do they do with the genie? Got the genie to come up.
I have no
Rub
idea.
a lamp.
Mate, you've watched too much Aladdin. Too much
mate,
Disney.
you're the one who's on the Disney Plus bandwagon with your girlfriend at the moment.
Okay,
so
let's not get into that.
Let's not get into that,
no,
but yes.
Of course, we should mention that we did try and record.
We did try and
We
record.
did have some audio difficulties, CJ, which is the reason Gusman is not here.
We have an empty
We have
space.
nothing against Gusman. We
No,
don't. We
not
don't.
a thing.
He
Great bloke.
recorded in here. We recorded for about an hour, but unfortunately, what we recorded is now
It's
painful.
Oh my god.
Ears are bleeding type stuff. And Faithful, we don't want that for you.
We don't.
We want better for you. So
We do
decided
that. We try to deliver the best content we possibly can
we do, Campbell,
in a short period of time.
and we're still not there.
No.
Because we're still not very good.
No,
Armchair experts, absolutely.
at best.
But we're going to keep trying.
Exactly. Nothing's stopping us.
And there is something that we've never done before on the Beyond
No.
Sidelines podcast that I thought we will try today.
Yes.
And that is, unfortunately, Faithful, we still have Angus in some form
Yes.
here on the Beyond the Sidelines podcast.
But where is he?
He's at Suncorp Stadium.
He's
CJ.
at Lang Park.
He's at Lang Park.
He's watching the Melbourne Storm versus the Roosters. Gus, how you doing, mate?
Hey, boys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
mate.
can hear you, mate.
Mate.
Loud and clear.
Oh,
Mate,
beautiful.
So half-time at the moment, at the time of recording. It's 12-6 to your boys, the Chooks. How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, I'm still very nervous. Of course, you know how good the Melbourne Storm are, so you can't be too careful when playing those boys. But yeah, I'm happy right now, 12-6 up. Good stuff from both the Morris boys. I don't know if you boys saw those two tries, but Brett Morris was all over the first one, and then Josh Morris with the second one. We've been outstanding. I think there's definitely room for improvement for our boys, though. I'm predicting a Roosters win, but
Of course you are.
I'm still not confident.
I think anyone could pick that. But, mate, how is it being back at the footy? None of us have been. You're the first to go. What's it like being at Suncorp Stadium?
Mate.
Being at Lang
It's
Park.
community, really, CJ.
Honestly, it's very weird. It's pretty eerie around here. I guess there's probably about 10,000. I don't know if there's exactly 10,000 here, but it's a quarter or a fifth of the stadium. And it's still quite loud, pretty vocal. People are still very excited about the rugby league. But yeah, it's a bit like going to a Brisbane Roar game. No offense. It's very empty.
Yeah.
People socially distancing, of course. So everyone's sitting like
I saw that.
4 or 5 seats apart.
I was going to mention that. It looks a bit weird with everyone kind of scattered around. No
Social
cardboard
distancing,
cutouts.
But not. It's really
Yeah.
weird.
Strange.
Yeah, so no, they got rid of those cardboard cutouts. We got actual humans in tonight, but yeah, everyone's sort of spread apart here. But you still get a bit of an atmosphere.
Yeah, I was about to say, is it getting a bit rowdy?
Yeah, it is. Oh, I could barely hear you boys when you were introducing there. I've had to find a really quiet spot near the stairs to actually hear you boys. Yeah, it's very rowdy.
Sacrifices, mate. You make constant sacrifices to be
Mate.
part of this podcast
Exactly.
and deliver to the faithful. But last question, mate. Who's looking dangerous from the Melbourne Storm? Any game breakers who might cause heartbreak later tonight?
I'm liking the look of Ryan Pappenhausen at the back.
Good shout.
It's just pace. Pace just scares you, like,
Dangerous,
as a supporter. But the Roosters' kicking game has been pretty poor, and Pappenhausen has been absolutely outstanding under the high ball, and he's just dangerous, man. It's just speed, and Addo Carr's the same. It's just speed. So if we can keep those two under wraps, then I think we'll go a long way to winning this game. I just want to mention Cameron Smith playing out at halfback as well.
Yep.
He is looking his age. He's looking about 40. He's not as slick as he is from dummy half.
So why is he at halfback?
Well, I think they're trying to get Brandon Smith into the starting side.
Absolutely.
So give him some more game time because he's an 80-minute player.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, they've moved Smith out to halfback, trialling that because, of course, they want to bring Harry Grant back to the club as well. So,
exactly.
yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting trial that they've got going right now. He doesn't look great, but, I mean, he's the best player in the game. So I'm sure he'll be able to figure it out and pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's a smart boy. Well, mate, we can't wait to be joining you at Suncorp Stadium, at the Gabba, at all these stadiums. I'm
When?
sure the faithful at
When
home-
are we going?
When? We've got to go soon.
When's my invite?
Yeah.
We'll let you get back to the game. Enjoy it, mate. And
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Go the Storm.
go the Storm, yeah.
No, horrible. Go the Chookies. All right, boys.
See you later, mate.
See you, mate.
All right.
There he was.
I don't want to talk him up too much, but that might just be our best interview yet.
I think that might be our best. And that's no disrespect to any of the other fine guests we've had. But,
Oh, but
that was
how can you compare to that?
exactly. That was beyond the sidelines. First live cross.
It was pretty good. He actually handled himself quite well.
He did.
There's
He's
a lot
put
of-
on the spot. I
there's a
called him
lot of-
about 2 minutes before.
A lot of pressure.
Imagine being on the phone in the middle of Suncorp, just giving doing a live cross. People are looking at you like, what the hell? They're just getting their, sweet chili chicken tenders and
for
chips.
far too much money.
For far too much. And you just hear some guy in the background going, yeah, Cam Smith's looking his age.
Mate, that's blasphemy, isn't it?
Absolute
Someone might hear that
blasphemy.
and just start, charging. But I will say this, unfortunately, don't mean to rain on his parade,
No.
but half of what he said will be redundant by the time the podcast comes out.
I was thinking that too. The faithful have already known the result. He's like, I'm expecting a Chooks win.
Exactly.
Game's already out. We do record this on a Thursday, in case you can't tell.
Both times.
But that was giving you a little bit of insight to what it's like to be at a game. And we can't wait to be back at one ourselves, and we can't wait for the faithful to be back at a game.
Exactly. And there's plenty of sport coming up, guys, so it's we'll chat about that a bit later.
Yes, but what are we talking about today?
Football.
We're talking about football. We're
World
talking
Cups.
about how important it is,
Significance.
the
CJ.
significance of
Um,
hosting a women's
Again,
FIFA World
it's,
Cup.
it's been a long time coming,
It
I
has been.
think. And, of course, the heartbreak a few years ago, Qatar, we're looking at you,
Oh,
of
don't-
course, a
don't
bit too
even-
much money, because that was supposed to be our World Cup, CJ.
It was supposed to be.
Supposed to be our World Cup. But anyway, let's take a break, and we'll come back into it. And then we're going to rip into some significance of the FIFA Women's World Cup 2023, co-hosted by Australia and New Zealand.
Let's go. Last Friday saw an
Just
incredible
I was
event.
doing my warm-ups, mate.
I know you were doing
jumped
your
straight
warm-ups.
into it.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. You were. It was like some High School Musical stuff going on.
Sharp
The brr, brr, ma, ma. No, but last Friday saw two incredible events. One of those we'll talk about later. But
You'll never
this
walk
one,
alone, CJ. You'll never
well,
walk
I'm a
alone.
Gooners fan, so I probably will walk alone, knowing the state of that club at the
David
moment. David
Luiz
Luiz
follows
bloody
you
hell.
everywhere.
Oh, don't
No, mate,
remind
but
me.
again, it was a great day to be a Kiwi and a Liverpool fan. Of course,
Was.
we'll chat about the latter later, but of course, New Zealand, part of that co-hosting alongside Australia, and man, it's absolutely important.
It's incredible.
It's incredible, significant, and I think it just shows the steps that not only women's sport, I think, is making in this country, but sport in general.
Yeah, 100%.
We've seen Matilda's games sell out a lot more than Raw games,
Mhm.
Super Rugby matches, even some league matches, AFL. The Matildas playing in Newcastle, that comes to mind. Remember that a few years
Yeah,
ago?
100%.
I think, who was it against? I can't tell you off the top of my
Can't
head.
remember.
Can't tell you. But basically, again, it's Sam Kerr, I think, is the face of Australian sport.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
And it was absolutely iconic. The Thursday night before the bid was announced. Just going to put my chair down.
Yeah,
a little
I'll go. Well, wait. Yep, we're good.
bit. I'm not used to sitting side on. I find
No,
this
I
quite
know.
uncomfortable,
It's kinda-
faithful. So
well, I'm used to it at
I
this
know
point,
you
but
are.
I'm trying to kind of.
I'm just like-
I naturally kind of like
want to
angle
sit,
in.
I want to sit here.
I know.
But basically, on Thursday night, Sam Kerr, she had her backflip photo.
Oh, it's an iconic
projected-
photo.
Projected onto the Sydney Opera House, and that
I
was
love
absolutely
that.
awesome, man. So, again, for Australia and New Zealand to get this, but I think we've seen in the aftermath of the announcement just how much it means to people. The video, the footage of people at the FFA celebrating
Scenes.
pal.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
they're all social distancing. They're all 1.5 meters apart, doing the right thing until it's announced, and then they're all absolutely charging, embracing, hugging people.
as you do.
as you
As
do.
you would.
And enjoying it, mate, because I think it's been a long time coming that Australia hosts a World Cup that is a winter sport.
Yeah.
Since 2003, the Rugby World Cup. I think that was the last one that comes to mind. Oh,
Yeah.
Rugby League.
Rugby
if you
league.
want to count that as
Not
well.
really a World Cup, but yeah.
It's a world game.
Game. Yeah.
Actually,
Gus isn't here to debate it.
Yeah, he's
this
not.
is great.
Jeez,
we
rugby
can say
league,
whatever we want.
It's just terrible.
Oh, the freedom. The freedom.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Move
on.
Get it back.
No, but CJ, I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is the opportunities that it's going to create to expand, I guess, the fandom around, world football.
100%.
This is the first World Cup that will be played in Oceania.
Yeah.
Men or women, of course, and New Zealand, they bring that representation. I think that's part of the allure.
Yeah.
I think they had when they kind of went, okay, Australia and New Zealand, that's good. Even Australia on its own is a winning bid.
100%.
So the fact that they've brought New Zealand into it, I think,
I love it.
projects that, brings it forward.
And it brings that Trans-Tasman relationship
Anzac,
even closer.
Yeah, it does.
That Anzac relationship. And it just means so much for kind of showcasing Australia as a destination, as a sporting hub. We haven't had a major sporting event like this. I can't remember.
Since the Cricket World Cup?
No.
3 months ago?
I don't even think that was as big.
I think this is the biggest World Cup Australia's had, period.
That's a big call.
I think it is, pal. I think, look, you could...
I think the Rugby World Cup in 2003 or the Olympics. Well,
the
it's
Olympics,
not a World
geez.
Cup. That's not a World Cup, but
Please get me out of that on a technicality.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
The Cricket World Cup, of course, India has such a massive population that has so much, it brings so many eyes to the TV.
It does,
but this is
eyes in one country.
This is people from so many different countries.
Yeah.
And
that's
that's
far larger representation.
Exactly. But what I was trying to say before is basically hosts of a World Cup get an automatic qualification spot.
Yes.
And that means Australia and New Zealand, mate, they've booked their ticket.
Very easy.
They've
Kick your
booked their
feet up.
ticket.
Don't
Relax.
worry, girls. Have a holiday.
Relax. Turn up in, August. What is it? July 2023?
Probably, yeah.
Something like that.
Middle of winter. That's actually a good time
I think
to have
it's
it, to be honest.
July to August.
Yeah.
I think it was. But basically, unlike men's, in the women's FIFA qualification, Oceania has an automatic qualification spot, and New Zealand tends to win that. And them not needing to go through that process anymore now opens the door for a Pacific nation such as Fiji, Solomon Islands, New Caledonia, Tonga.
The French up in New Cal.
Samoa. Yeah, man.
Be
New
interesting.
Caledonia, beautiful country. Been there twice.
Never been.
Been there twice.
You've been on a cruise or two?
Well, yeah, too, because I've
We've
been there twice.
spoken about this
Have we?
before, that I'm not a fan of cruises.
Cruises are good fun.
Nah.
Anyway.
Nah.
But basically, mate, for the first time ever, a Pacific nation could really, truly be, I guess, represented
Yeah.
at a World Cup, men or women, and I think that's awesome.
It's incredible. And it just, and we talk about it, I'd say more so in rugby league and in rugby league and rugby union, of this representation of the islands and of the Pacifics.
It's giving them a chance, ballet.
It is, because those sports are huge over there. They're major sports, they're national sports. Whereas when you look at football, when we talk about expanding the game, we don't talk about it that often. I'm looking above your shoulder.
You're not looking at me.
I'm looking at myself.
It's really
in the mirror.
yeah, you are.
Damn sexy, I'll tell
Jeez,
you
are
what.
vain, pal.
There's a mirror not a mirror, there's a
window.
glass. I'm actually reading the UQ physical distancing, healthy hygiene now, code of conduct.
You would have thought by now you'd have that down pat. To be fair,
mate, honestly.
It's been a few months of this.
Genuinely. No, but we don't really talk about expanding football,
No, and
especially.
it's the world game, pal.
It is.
And it's the world game minus Oceania for some reason.
Yeah,
That seems to that tends to be how it's represented.
for sure.
And I guess this is part of, again, the allure of the bid, bringing that part of the world into football.
Definitely.
So, yeah, it's potential now. And hopefully, there's people who are Matildas players and football fans players who are on the brink of maybe playing for their country. How's that for motivation?
Huge.
I'm going to push really hard because this is an opportunity that people only get once in a lifetime, if that.
Yeah.
Because the amount of people who get to play a home World Cup in their sport,
Very slim.
slim. Very slim.
No other Australian football players ever had that
No.
right, that duty, that honour.
The first time it
do
comes
it.
down, it's the first time it's coming down under CJ. So again,
Exactly.
I think that's awesome. But how far
How
do
far?
they go? Matildas. Let's start with them.
Ooh, we're taking early predictions. I've thought about this a little bit. I think
In the first recording, we
in
did.
the first recording,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm trying to cut that out because
Yeah, I know.
the listeners haven't heard
know, but
that.
it's
We've
fine.
heard it; they haven't. No, I think they're going to be runners up. So I think they're already an elite side, one of the world's best. They've shown that. It just really depends, I guess, how obviously defensive, solidity will play a part in it, in their kind of bid. And what we tend to see with the women's game is a lot more scoring. So if you can reduce that, then hopefully Sam Kerr can go on a runner. But I think they would usually go to the semi-finals in a comp like this.
No.
But with their current squad.
Yeah,
I
but-
think usually if it was hosted anywhere else, I think they'd come semi-finals. But the fact that it's in Australia, I think that might push them to the final. And the reason why I say runners up is because they'll be with America in the final and America will win.
I think USA, I think they've won 3 in a row off the top
America,
of my head.
yeah.
So again, they're going to be so hard to overcome, man.
Well, the thing is, football, soccer is pretty much one of the number one female sports in America.
Yep.
It goes like soccer, soccer.
Keep going.
It goes probably softball.
Do you have the
You'd
stats
probably
to back
look
this
at.
up, mate?
No, just off my head.
Yeah.
You probably go.
This is what I think. So that's
This is
how
what
it's
I-
going to be.
Okay, whatever, mate. Basketball's probably one for the women.
100%. WNBA is huge.
Yeah. So there's a few sports that probably dominate.
I think football drives it now.
Yeah, I think it does too.
Soccer.
Soccer.
I think they probably get to the semis
Mm.
and then get tripped up by your Japans. Brazil, Australia have had the better of them.
Yeah, they have. I remember
in
they
recent
won a
history.
few years ago
Yeah,
against them.
exactly. So they've had the better of them. Football fans, obviously. I want to be biased. They could not realistically hold their own against the Matildas, but
No.
let's pray for a miracle. Team USA or
Exactly.
USA.
Make a documentary about it, a
Could do.
movie about it.
But mate, something we talked about in the first recording that we
Mm.
haven't touched on now
Yes.
is the state of the W League and how I guess
Yeah.
important this World Cup is in bringing players back down under, because the W League does not get the representation or the support, the viewership that I think it deserves. It's, for the most part, a curtain raiser
Mm.
to A-League games, and that's how it's been. I think the W League Grand Final, wasn't that a curtain raiser to just an
I can't
A-League
remember.
regular
I think it
season match?
was, yeah.
Yeah, it
Which
was,
is a
yeah,
crime.
Melbourne City versus, not Melbourne Victory, it was Sydney FC.
That's a crime, to be honest.
is.
That's absolutely criminal.
Again, Melbourne City, they went undefeated.
Yeah.
Invincibles, and no one's talking about that.
No.
All people are talking about is, can Brisbane Roar contest for a top 3 finish?
Or can they, though?
No Robbie Fowler.
I know.
He's trapped in the UK.
We haven't spoken about
Poor
that.
Robbie.
Yeah, Robbie's stuck over there.
Again, that kind of sucks. But,
Yes.
mate, I think you look at the players, so for the most part, in years gone by, Faithful, it's been you play in the W League and then you go play in America in the off-season.
Yep.
And that's the life of a professional female footballer.
And vice versa. So
Yeah.
we'll get a lot of people playing in
We still-
America.
we still
come
have a
over
lot
play
of
here. Yeah.
Americans.
Carson Pickett comes to mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in years, or in recent history, in fact, the last 12 months,
Mm.
we've seen a lot of players going over to Europe, maybe the more traditional footballing places. Carpenter, of course, just signing for Lyon, the most
They're
prestigious football team in women's football. I think
100%.
they're basically, well, they are the
They're
Real
the
Madrid.
Real Madrid
I think
of
they've won,
female
I want
sport.
to say 14 European Cups,
They're
something like that.
so dominant, man.
Haley Russo, plays for Everton.
Yeah.
Caitlin Ford, Arsenal.
Sam
Kerr, Chelsea. She just won.
Yeah.
What do they call it? The Super Cup, isn't it?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Because they don't call it like the women's. They don't call it like the WEPL. They like,
Oh, do they have a separate name for it?
yeah, they have a different name
Huh.
for it. So I think that's quite interesting. Liverpool just got relegated, so.
We'll talk something else about Liverpool
Yeah,
later.
man. So basically, again, how important do you think it is, CJ, in retaining this talent?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's a sacrifice that's worth making? Letting these players go overseas to pursue football when it might reflect better in the Matildas setup.
Well, personally, I think, and I don't think I'd be alone in saying this, that the better coaches will be overseas.
Yep.
Just due to, the pure volume of coaches. Obviously, if you have more people in one position, one profession,
Yep.
it's going to trickle down and create a stronger pool of coaches. So our Matildas are getting better coaches in Europe than they would if they went to America, if they stayed in Australia. So I think them going over to Europe to play for Lyon for these English teams, I think that will reflect better on the players. The best Australian men's players historically have been the ones who've played overseas. Your Mark Vidukas, your Harry Kuehls, your Tim Cahills,
Yep.
Your Mark Schwartzes. These are all legends, especially when we were growing up. These are the players that have really put their stamp on, Australian football. They're the best Socceroos in recent history.
Definitely.
So I think you'll see that transfer into the women's game as well, of going over to these coaches in the UK and France and whatnot in Europe, and that'll reflect better on the competition. I don't think that the W League, I think it'll reflect better. I think people, and unfortunately it's the truth that, or my opinion, but I think that the Matildas are the be-all and end-all, not the be-all and end-all, but they're the main thing in any sport.
But is Australia happy with that? Is Australia happy with possibly going, okay,
Let's have a weaker
domestically, we can have a weaker competition
Mhm.
if our national team is better?
I think so. I think most people would be.
Because I think what we see in the A-League is the A-League's become a breeding ground
Yeah.
of future talent for the most part. It's a development place.
And to be honest, it probably should be.
It should be, I think, because we don't have the money to keep these players down
All
under.
the viewership.
I look at, Matt Ryan, Aaron Moy, Daniel Arzani.
Matt Leckie.
Exactly.
So many players.
The list goes on. Daniel Arzani, he is one player who I think, I wouldn't say necessarily went overseas too young, because I think he was almost a bit better. Well, he showed that he was better than the average player.
Yes, 100%.
But he's just had a 2-year loan spell at Celtic.
Mm-hmm.
Injury ravished.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's lost.
Yeah.
And you don't want him coming back to the A-League when he has to at like 30, going, what could have been?
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. It's a little bit of the case of the Kiwi Messi,
Marco
Rojas. It is very similar to I hope it's not. I hope it's not that player who's heralded as the next big thing for, obviously it's New Zealand and Australia, but the next big Australian player.
Sarpreet Singh.
I think he's probably holding his own.
Well, man, he's a Bundesliga champion.
Exactly. So
you take that over. I think 2 years ago he was eliminated from the FA Cup by Bentley Greens.
By Bentley Greens in Victoria.
The Victorian NPL powerhouse.
That they are, exactly. But I think it'd be I think it's interesting. And I hope he continues it. Is he on loan from Melbourne City?
Rojas?
Or Daniel Arzani.
Oh, Arzani, no, he's
from Manchester City.
From Manchester City.
Okay, well they're owned, like Manchester City owns Melbourne City, so that's why it was allowed to go. But that's quite interesting. So I think he'll go on loan again.
I think
probably do a championship side.
The rumour is a Denmark club.
Ooh, well, there's a lot of Australians that go that route.
Exactly.
Obviously, I think he has. I know Mustafa Amini, who used to play for Dortmund, now plays there, and I think friend of the show, Alex Gersbach, played in Denmark at one point as well.
Yeah, definitely. But again, let's talk about the issue at hand, CJ.
Yes.
Final thoughts here. How important is this competition for the Australian sporting landscape, mate? Let's really just hit that nail on the head here, because I think that's the premise of what this podcast has to be about today. Sam Kerr, yes or no, true or false? Accurate? Is it not? Overstatement, understatement. Is she the face of Australian sport?
My instinct is to say no.
Okay.
But I can't think of anyone who is more of a statement of Australian sport.
I think
so. In that respect, I think yes, because can you think of someone who would be a bigger, more influential on a national stage than her?
Well, that's the thing, mate. Because I think you want, as a role model, as a face of what it means to be an Australian athlete, you want someone who first and foremost performs on the park, on the court, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, you want them to be a role model off their playing surface as much as they are on it. And Sam Kerr's that. Unfortunately, we see too much of it in league in particular, a bit in the AFL and a bit in rugby, as the main driving sports in this country, of players who can perform on the field, but then something goes wrong off it.
Yeah.
And I think Sam Kerr, mate, she's been all class.
Yeah.
She's been all class, and I think she's carried the expectation of, let's be better.
Yeah.
I guess, let's make women's football bigger and better than what it has been in the past. And she's been a huge contributor towards that. And again, I don't think football in this country would be as popular without her.
I completely agree.
Would we have the World Cup without her?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not, honestly.
Because
I think she's learned a lot from her brother, Daniel Kerr, who's notoriously a bit of a bad boy, obviously part of that West Coast, Ben Cousins era of
very
talented players.
Very talented, but that was a very, very dark period in Australian sport, not just West Coast or, Perth sport.
Or
whatever.
the AFL even.
Exactly. So, again, I think she's learnt a lot, but, man, again, main premise of this, let's not ramble on, but basically this World Cup is so, so big. I think this World Cup will unite Australia, and it gives us something to look forward to.
100%.
Because I think we've spent the last few months cooped up in our homes kind of going, I want sport to be back. I'll watch whatever comes on when it comes on. And this is something for us to go, in 3 years, the world comes to us.
I'm so keen.
The world comes to us, and we get to show them what Australia is and what Australia is all about.
Yeah.
At the most recent World Cup in 2019, Australia got, I think, eliminated by Norway on penalties, and that was underwhelming. They can do better than that. They were expected to do that, especially going into that. They had wins over, the United States, Brazil.
They can do it.
Chile, I think.
Probably,
but basically, they'd been there and done it. They had shown that they could, at least on their day, beat the world's best. And I think in 3 years' time, the carry of the fans, if they pack the stadiums and bring it, as Australians can can propel the Matildas not necessarily to World Cup glory, but they can do something special. Same with New Zealand. Actually, something we should mention.
Yes.
Where games are being played.
Where are they being played?
I want to apologise. We've done this twice now.
We've done this
twice. Things that I mentioned before, I haven't mentioned now, blah, blah, blah.
It's okay.
It's okay. You understand.
Where are they being played? Finn, let's get to the point. Where are they being played?
2 stadiums in Sydney. I think it's ANZ and, what was the other one? Sydney Football Stadium.
Sydney Football Stadium.
There was...
Suncorp
Stadium.
The one outside the G in Amy Park.
Correct.
Launceston.
Launceston. Actually, that was the big thing, man.
That was the big one for Australia.
Again, and actually, this is something we talked about heaps before in the first attempt, CJ, is how I think the FFA, how they've identified this World Cup as an opportunity to do what no other sport does, Faithful. No other sport does this. And that's make it a national competition.
Yeah.
Now, other sports, when they host these big games, like to pretend that everyone's involved. When the hell was there a game played in Tasmania in rugby? At the Rugby World Cup in 2003, there wasn't.
There wasn't.
Was there one at the League World Cup? No.
I don't think there's ever been, I don't think there's been a professional game of sport other than obviously the Hobart Hurricanes. The NBL franchise isn't there yet.
They are next year.
They are next year, but they're not there now. Or another team from Victoria in the AFL going over to play there.
That's pretty much it.
That's it.
Everyone likes to forget about Tasmania, and I think people, it's the long forgotten part of the world and Australia. But basically, man, so again, we got Sydney, Brisbane, Launceston, Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth, and I think that's it from Australia.
That's it from Australia?
I think.
New Zealand?
And New Zealand, it's the 5 Super Rugby.
Which I think is awesome.
Countries. Not countries, cities. So Eden Park.
Auckland.
Wellington Regional Stadium, which is Sky Stadium, Westpac Stadium.
Hamilton,
Hamiltron,
City of the Future.
Jeez.
And Dunedin,
and
which really shocked me, and Christchurch.
You're forgetting about Christchurch. These are all, man. Actually, something I forgot to tell you. I remember about a year ago having a conversation with my mate George Nickel.
Yes,
and I was
friend of the show.
I was seriously, Is he
mate,
buddy?
Yeah, champ.
And I was seriously considering writing like a report and sending it to the FFA about how a bid between Australia and New Zealand for a men's World Cup could work. I've completely blanked on this until now, and I was serious about it.
Yeah,
I thought of stadiums and which cities are likely to revamp their stadiums, and I think
Christchurch would be one.
Yeah, Christchurch. I think Auckland at the time we're talking about. This is about a year ago, year and a half ago. Auckland at the time we're talking about a potential waterfront stadium. So
interesting.
Eden Park is really weird.
Yeah, it is strange.
I'm not sure if you've been there, Siege, but basically Eden Park, it's the middle of the suburbs. So they can only have a certain amount of events at that stadium every year because it has to be approved by the suburb.
That's ridiculous.
By the community. It's very awkward. It's very hard to get to. It's kind of like Ballymore, I guess you'd put it that way. You know how Ballymore's kind of in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, it's in the middle of Hurston.
Exactly. It's very awkward. So I get a waterfront stadium in Auckland.
Oh, perfect.
That's what people want.
Oh, yeah.
Something more...
You want a Marvel Stadium kind of vibe down at Docklands.
Yeah, something like that. But I think for the most part, Eden Park's too big.
Yeah.
Except for, All Blacks test matches, which obviously sell out.
Yeah.
The Blues, man, they don't sell that out.
No.
The Warriors, when they play there, they don't sell that out.
No.
So again, they were thinking waterfront stadium, but I was also thinking about,
Is that being built or been built?
The waterfront stadium.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was all talk.
Where were the Tatara playing?
Auckland Tatara, North Harbour.
Okay, they were playing in the North Harbour Stadium.
Yeah, that's another stadium.
Yeah, cool.
That's a nice stadium too. You could possibly play games there, but
it's a bit small.
Again, you want something in the CBD.
Yeah.
You want something in the CBD.
That's
cool. In Brisbane, I always thought, not necessarily Suncorp, but possibly even the Gabba.
Yeah.
Could be set for a revamp. Cross River Rail here is coming into, is
Wollongabba Station.
Exactly, mate. So I think it's possible that it could be.
I don't think the Gabba can be revamped. Is it? I've seen it's already been revamped over the past 15 years.
But you can make it more of a precinct. If you go to Marvel Stadium, Docklands,
you got Docklands down
there. There's
a DFO there, mate. For God's sake,
it's awesome. It's a hub. It's not a stadium.
Yeah.
There's shops. There's restaurants. Blah blah blah. You name it, it's there.
Telstra Dome.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Love it.
Oh, I love the Telstra Dome. Best name it's ever had.
But even like Optus, when they built their stadium, that'll be old in 10 years. I'd have to go through my files, but I'm pretty sure it was for the World Cup in about 12 years. And I'm just glad that the FFA has telepathically listened to me and gone, let's take
I
on
think
this.
they've gone into your files, mate.
Yeah, jeez. Proctor you.
Proctor, I was about to say that. Oh, wait, we're at UQ. Don't say anything.
Uh-oh. Oh, God.
Yeah, they're listening.
They're listening. But basically, again, telepathically listen to me. Not really. And they've taken on this World Cup. Because I think if they went for a men's World Cup, would get outbid by someone with more money, again, who's more corrupt.
Qatar. Russia. Yeah.
But basically, again, I love the fact this has happened. It's time for Australia to embrace football, Siege.
Oh, yeah.
I think
that's what I think I'm most keen for. And I think that's the real impact of this World Cup, is it gives us, because we saw it in the AFC champion, Asian Cup, whatever.
Mate, but
people got around that. Nearly all the games sold out. All the Australian games sold out.
But they got behind it for how long?
For the whole comp.
Yeah.
But after the comp, it died out.
And then after that comp, it was like, okay, let's go back to State of Origin. Let's go back to, the dogs are contesting for the flag.
Yeah.
Like, people can turn off in Australia because there's so much variety in sports and who's winning at the time.
Oh, 100%.
As a sports fan in this country, I could have 5 teams I support in different codes at any one time. More often than not, at least one of those teams is successful, at least in each season.
Yep.
And, for me, I'm firmly a rugby fan, but there's a lot of people who go, I have my foot, in all these different camps. I can just, be more of this fan this year.
Yeah.
Australia's one, great, on to the next. It's so easy for us to just tune off and go, I'm good.
Yeah.
Time for, that was good watching Australia win the Asian Cup for the first time. Let's go watch Queensland at, State of Origin.
No one watches the A-League after that. I
think maybe in Australia, I put it to you like this, Sage, I think we're too desperate for success. Or we're too needy for it. So that means when success happens, when teams win competitions, we then move on because we go, okay, that was fun.
Been there, done that.
Let's go watch the next one.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened a few years ago in 2015 with the Asian Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Australia won it. Then it was like, okay, sweet, World Cup, back to reality. We get snotted.
Mm-hmm.
And I sincerely hope, and I hope it doesn't take the Matildas winning the World Cup for Australians to go, this team
We're good at this thing.
Not even just that, mate, but this team represents Australia better than what most sports teams do.
Yeah. I mean, and you brought up the question earlier of who would you say is the best role model or who's the face of Australian sport, and I would have said Steve Smith.
Sandpaper Saga.
He's not a role model anymore.
Very apologetic.
And he's too quiet to be a...
It's not even just that, pal. Not even just that. I mean, you could argue, was he innocent and all that? He could have been.
I think he was.
He could have been his captain going down with the ship. I think he was too. But his career, unfortunately,
it'll be forever.
He could very well score tons for the rest of his career, Siege. And he very well might. Faithful. He very well could. But basically, his career is always going to be marred by that incident at Nuance. It's always going to be. And there is just no way to get around that. So I think it was at that moment when Australia went, Sam Kerr, Matildas, let's take this a bit more seriously. The talent in that team is so underappreciated. Let's get behind them. Let's back them. This could bring Australian sport together. Because I think there's too many code wars and there's too many arguments about who's which sport's best.
I mean, we only spoke about it.
Take last week. Take last week for note, Siege. Gus and I. It's a very tense.
Got a bit heated.
It was a very tense episode, mate. Because
Gus may have said some controversial statements.
Jeez, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very tense because people are so passionate about it. But football, it is the world game, and hopefully, a World Cup is what it takes to unite Australian sports fans and to get behind this team. Because I think, again, this team could do great things. They represent Australia better than any national team.
I completely agree.
So let's get behind that. And same with New Zealand. I think New Zealand football is the most played sport, I think, at the grassroots level.
I think it's the same here.
Yeah, but take that for New Zealand.
Yeah.
What about rugby? I know.
Yeah.
Rugby's too dangerous now, guys. Rugby is too dangerous.
It is.
People get hurt.
Mate, I've broken my collarbone twice, mate. I'll be the first to say that.
Mate, I played including league, I played for 8 years.
You had a little ratty. Classic league fashion.
God, I did. I was concussed once. I just wasn't.
Oh, you hard nut, you.
I pulled my hamstring once, still scored the try.
Oh, that's quite elite.
It's chip and chase, 40 metres.
Oh, vintage Finn Morton.
Yeah. That was good. I was good back at 13. That's when I stopped growing.
What happened?
It's my peak. Anyway, let's cut away, CJ, and we'll talk more about why I'm not walking alone right now.
Who's not walking alone?
But again, case in point, this World Cup is so significant, faithful. Let's get behind it. We've got 3 years to build it up, and again, what it can mean for not only women's sport but Australian sport. uncomprehendable, CJ. I think, in a way. In many ways it is. The economic aspects of it, CJ does have it on his notes, but he's not going to get it up for some reason. Basically,
there's lots of money to be made.
Lots of money to be
over
made.
400 million. So come on, Australia, get behind the Matildas. Let's make us some money out of this potential recession. Let's go. And that was a bit of us talking a little bit about the Matildas, talking about what it means, the significance of the World Cup, and us winning it. We beat Colombia. We haven't won it yet. Winning the bid, winning the rights to host it. We beat Colombia to the pip to, get those hosting rights. Beat Japan as well. We didn't mention that before, but
You're a wordsmith.
mentioning it now.
We did in the first attempt.
Again,
this is so difficult. Like, we're trying to be candid and stuff, but I know what he's going to say next, and he knows what I'm going to say next. It's like we finish each other's sandwiches. Oh, God.
You watched Frozen the other day. That's one of the lyrics in the songs. I'm sad that I knew that, and we're going to move on quickly.
We're going to cut.
No, we're not. We're not. We're going to keep it going. We're going to go. Let's talk about sport. Why you're not walking alone.
Let's talk about sport.
Women. There's nothing wrong with liking a musical, mate. I'll say that.
No, there's not. Let's be honest, it was okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. But anyway, sport.
I'm
not walking alone, mate, because as we have talked about in months gone by, I'm a Liverpool fan. As I wearing my Patriots jumper, I'm not a bandwagoner. It's just coincidence. I could go into it, pal, but I don't want to because I don't think I could justify it well enough. Anyway, basically, 30 years of heartbreak, 30 years of hurt. Liverpool winning the Premier League for the first time last weekend on points, CJ. Winning it on points.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, alrighty. Chelsea.
You haven't won an invincible one, though.
I think we're being called the Incredibles now.
What, your Flash or whatever? You're really stretchy or really fast or catch on fire.
Absolutely incredible.
Really strong.
No, because they could be the first Centurions, which would be something quite big. But again, that's let's just enjoy what we have for now, CJ. And that's the fact that Chelsea actually got the job done over City last week, which I didn't want to happen because that means Liverpool gathering at a barbecue at someone's house. Won it on points because mathematically Manchester City could then not chase Liverpool down. Liverpool champions. Mate, I enjoyed it. What did you think?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too. Obviously, I woke up to the news that they'd won the league, which was pretty awesome. Had to go to work. I was bloody tired in the morning.
Yeah.
But no, it was really awesome, and it is good to, as much as I'm not I like Liverpool. I'm not one of those fans that goes, I hate every other team. Obviously, I don't like Tottenham, but it's not the way they would have wanted to win the title. But I put money on the game. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think I won $5.
Do you remember 3 weeks ago you were talking about how you were drinking every day? Now you're talking about your gambling habits.
Hey,
I'm just saying.
This is not the time to have the intervention, right?
Mate, but I think with Liverpool, a lot of people like to hate on them because I don't know, because
it's fun.
They like being a big club, but they've never won anything.
Yeah.
But if you consider how far they've actually come, man, I remember 2014. Sitting downstairs in my sports room with my dad and my brother watching Crystal Palace, draw with Liverpool after Liverpool are winning 3-0 with 15 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And then Liverpool effectively losing the title.
Yeah.
It's heartbreak and it's painful being a Liverpool fan, or at least it has been. And when coronavirus hit, suspended the season, it was kind of like, could not have happened to any other club.
Yeah, legit though.
Part of me was going, it would kind of be funny.
It would be quite funny.
I think you'd kind of have to laugh at it, but there's people who've,
If you don't laugh, you cry. So.
Exactly, mate, exactly. But again, I think it's well-deserved coming, from the days of Ricky Lambert.
Mate,
Joe Allen, Mario Balotelli.
I remember sitting in a hotel bar in Bali back in 2015 or something like that at 2 a.m. in the morning or something, watching Martin Skirtle and Lazar Markovic.
Against Arsenal?
Run again. It was against Arsenal,
4-1.
Yeah, or no, it was a different game. It was a game where Daniel Sturridge or something scored a goal in the last minute to beat us, and I was fuming. It was crazy. But I remember the 4-1 as well. But it was, oh my God, it was that. You guys had some dreadful teams. The Welsh Perlo,
they made it work though. It's really bizarre.
Just work.
Really, really bizarre. But you look at how far they've come. Selling Coutinho.
Best move.
And then signing Alisson and Virgil van Dijk. Arguably, two players who both made the most recent best 11 in the world.
Yeah.
For the price of Philip, is it Felipe? Felipe, yeah. Coutinho. It's just, back then it might have seemed a bit, this is a bit dodgy.
Selling your best player.
For Van Dijk.
He was your best player at that point too.
He was. But now it's would I have Coutinho back? No.
No way.
No.
He wouldn't add anything to your squad.
I would get rid of Salah for Coutinho, though.
But you don't have anyone to replace that position. Or maybe you do in bed Woodburn or something like that.
Yeah, Woodburn.
He's not quite at that level. Harry Wilson,
back,
it's a good shout.
The Liverpool one, not
the Queensland Reds number 8. Yeah,
even though
he could probably have a run
He rates
out.
himself as a goal kicker.
He does.
But basically, Siege, I don't know. I think it's been a long time coming for the Reds. I don't agree with the reaction, though. I think we should just highlight that.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I understand there was a lot of, again, it's a lot of angst, a lot of relief and whatever build up seeing your team win the league. But for the 2,000-odd fans to rush out to the City Centre, and there was one fan or a few fans who started firing fireworks at the City Hall. It's irresponsible, especially right now. I don't know, wise up. Really,
yeah, it's out of order.
That being said, it would be so hard almost not to. You know what I mean? For really those diehards who pay season tickets and wanted so much to be at a game.
Those fans who have Christian Benteke tattooed on their bicep or something like that.
CJ.
Just imagine.
Exactly, man. So I don't know. I don't agree with their behaviour. Part of me gets it, but I think you've got to be a bit wiser right now.
You do.
But again, does this open the floodgates for Liverpool FC? Because I think with their talent, their squad, it could do.
Could do. I mean, have we ever? I don't think we've ever seen a back-to-back Premier League title. Maybe in the Moisey days.
Yeah,
Moisey. Not Moisey. Sorry, Fergie
Alex,
days.
Yeah,
Fergie. Moisey.
Yeah, I was gonna say
You're a fool. I don't know why I said Moisey. Anyway, it's tired. It's late. I'm tired. It's
exactly.
late. Damn it.
Again, we've done this before. Anyway, CJ, moving on to the next thing that we've done before. Gold Coast Suns. Mate, they're another team who were very much in the depths of despair in years gone by, but maybe something's changed. Maybe the tide has turned a wee bit, mate. Tuke Miller, so prophesised only a few weeks ago, and I sat there thinking, mate, I hope you're right. But I can't for the life of me see any indication that the Gold Coast Suns could turn this around. But they have. They're now 3-1 this season, sit comfortably inside the 8 at the moment.
Oh, they do.
And Matt Rowell is absolutely taking the league by storm. I think most betting agencies have him
at number
3rd
3
on the Brownlow.
Yeah, they do. He's had an incredible season so far. It's probably one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen. We've only seen 2 rookies or draftees ever win the Brownlow. It has happened before. It's happened twice, but I don't think he's not having good enough of a season to win the Brownlow, in my opinion.
But if the Suns keep going the way they're going, Matt Rowell has to be integral to that.
He's got to get those disposals up. That's it. He'll win Rising Star, hands down, no problem.
He's won it
easy.
Now. In fact, I think it was Sportsbet. God, I feel like we're saying a lot of betting talk.
I know.
I haven't. Yeah. Anyway,
we're not sponsored by any betting companies.
Could do though. But basically, I think they've paid out Matt Rowell for Rising Star.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it'll happen. I would put my money.
I think
on
the reason Patrick Cripps won it last year though was it year before.
Oh, it was a few years ago.
But basically, the reason he won it is because he's a
the Brownlow you're talking about?
Yeah,
he won last year.
Because he's a very good player.
Or maybe Fife won last year.
I think
Fife won last year.
God, I'm tired. It's 10
I know,
o'clock.
bro.
But you mean a lot to us, faithful.
Exactly.
So we try. Basically, he was a very good player playing in a pretty average team.
This is true.
Matt Rowell, what's the same reason Gary Ablett won it, really?
Yeah, same reason.
You know?
And so for those who don't know how the Brownlow system works, you get votes per the game. So if you're playing in if you're playing in an average team, the votes are going to get, and you're a good player, like Patrick Cripps was, like Gary Ablett was in a terrible team, you're going to get more votes than your supporting cast. Whereas,
if you're man of the match, you get 3 votes.
Yes.
And then if you're runner-up, man of the match, you get 2. And then if you're runner-up to the runner-up, you get 1.
Yeah.
Basically, right?
Yeah.
So kind of.
Similar, I think. I think it might be, actually. But anyway, either way, then so obviously if you're a very good player playing on a very good team, you're probably not going to win the Brownlow. That's why we see, doesn't Nat Fife have more Brownlow votes than he has games played?
Or at least he did at the start of the season. Now, I think this is an absolutely mind-boggling stat, but basically he has more Brownlow votes than games played minus finals.
Which is incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
Absolutely incredible. So we could see a similar situation here. So Matt Rowell is playing very well, but he's not having a Brownlow caliber season, but he might win the Brownlow based on his supporting cast. I think his supporting cast have been very good this year. I don't think it's all been Matt Rowell.
No.
I think Tuke Miller, fan of the show,
Probably. Hope so.
Friend of the show. Bloody hell, it is late.
Yeah.
Friend of the show. He's playing very well. I think he's got the highest disposals in the team. So I think he's above Matt Rowell in disposals, tackling well, kicking well. The main thing that Matt Rowell, I think, is doing is he's hovering around. He's tackling really well. Hugh Greenwood is hovering around 6.5 to 7 tackles a game, which is elite.
Yeah.
High in disposals as well. That forward line's playing well, and as a unit, no one's standing out. I think, obviously, is it Max King or Ben King? I always forget.
I think it's Ben.
I think it's Ben.
Man,
He's
he was
standing out.
I watched a quarter of their game against the Dockers last week, and he was absolutely elite.
Yeah.
Now, he's a bloke who has not filled out at all.
No. And he's still incredible. For his size, he is really quick. I think in his year at the Combine, he ran the 9th fastest 20-metre time.
That's crazy, eh?
At 200 centimetres.
Even actually, we were before this podcast, we were watching
The Saints game
Carlton
with his
Saints,
brother.
and his brother was playing.
Twin
his brother is probably a bit bigger.
I think they're around. So he's probably filled out a little bit more.
filled out a little bit more.
Yeah, he made his first appearance this season as well. Obviously, coming off a knee injury in his final year at Haileybury College, where actually Ben King, his brother, kicked 11 in that game.
That's insane.
Yeah,
That's elite.
that is elite.
But you only have to look at these guys to really see just how good their hands are first and foremost.
Yeah.
They are big guys, but that's not everything.
No.
They didn't get drafted for their size. They can kick bloody accurately, but they're also very good with their hands, and they can catch pretty well anything. So it's very impressive, mate. But it's again, hopefully only up from here for the Gold Coast Suns.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, Jack Lukosius, who was taken in the same year as Ben King up there, he's playing very well.
Yeah.
Very, very well. He kicked a really good snag on the weekend. But let's move on.
Well, I think they're everyone's second team. Let's put it that way. I think that
Everyone's loving them.
They're a team who no one can really hate because no one really took them seriously until 3 weeks ago.
Exactly.
And even now, I don't think anyone really sees them as a genuine final flag contender.
No, well, I mean, part of that has to do with their record. Obviously, I mean, we stated this in our first take, but Stewie Dew, the head coach's
Deja vu,
record.
pal.
I know, mate. Stewie Dew's record over his tenure at the Gold Coast, over the first 6 rounds of every season, over his whole tenure at the club, he's won 8 and lost 6 games over 1 to 6, rounds 1 to 6 over his tenure. But in the round 7 to 22, he's something like 1 and 33. So let's hope they keep it up. It's looking good. They're running well. They're playing well. They're playing with confidence it's a kind of weird season so far. Lots of surprising things, such as Richmond. We're not going to touch on that at the moment, but
we already have.
We already have, mate. Let's move on.
Okay, throwing that to me. Okay,
yeah,
brilliant.
throwing it to you. Mid-yawn, mate.
Angus? Oh, he's not here. Is he still on? I really hope we hung up the phone. Super Rugby AU, of course, kicks off.
He's just getting the podcast first, mate.
Yeah, of course. He's leaking it.
Exactly.
Super Rugby AU, Vodafone. Super Rugby AU kicks off Friday, an hour after the podcast comes out. So maybe you're listening to this live and you're at Suncorp awaiting kickoff. Good on you. That's great.
You're at the Caxton.
If not, hey, we don't. No, I thought
sorry.
They're at the game watching the curtain raiser.
Bad.
Jesus, mate.
Is there a curtain raiser?
Probably not.
Probably not.
But if not, welcome to rugby. Rugby's back down under, which is great to see. I think we've seen some impressive rugby across the ditch in Super Rugby Aotearoa. And a comment I made about CJ earlier is actually, I've got to mention it.
Yeah, you can say it.
You're like a bloke who falls in love with a chick after the first date. Now, what I mean by this
My
is...
past girlfriends aren't going to like you for saying that.
Caleb Clark, he's a absolutely fantastic winger at the moment for the Auckland Blues.
Yeah.
He looks very weird in terms of his leg to torso ratio.
That's what caught my eye when I first saw him. I was like, you do not look like a winger.
No.
Because he's quite thick.
Yeah.
On the bottom half, top half. He's just quite a thick winger.
He is.
So he's really interesting, but he's really
very
good.
Quick, very strong. Breaks a lot of, it's a bit of a NFL term, mate, but yards after the tackle, so to speak. He can bump off a few. He can carry a few if he needs to,
Yeah,
people
yards after contact and whatnot.
He's incredible. But, your man crush on him.
Yeah. He's good,
Let's
man.
see how that progresses.
I wish we had him over here.
Yeah.
He'd be good. He's good.
Yeah.
He's a good player. But no, Vodafone Super Rugby AU.
See, AU, man, it's just...
It doesn't ring.
It doesn't sound as good as Aotearoa.
No way.
But, I mean, what can they do? But of course,
change the name of your country.
Yeah. Australia, they have their own superstars of their own. Let's not get it, that mixed up. Tongan Thor, of course, he'll be one bloke who I think everybody is itching to see back in.
Yeah, is he playing this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been named at tight head. Yeah, mate, absolutely incredible. I guess seeing rugby back down under.
Mhm.
I can't wait. I'm picking the Reds to get it done over
Picking
the
the Reds.
Tars.
I think so too.
And then
Tars look dreadful.
And then Brumbies to get it done over the Rebels. I think
Mm-hmm.
the Waratahs, they won 1 from 6.
Yeah.
In their in Super Rugby before it was cancelled. Reds, I think they won about 3 from 7, and Brumbies won 5 from 6.
Yeah.
In fact, the Brumbies, let's touch on that. I think they were well and truly the trendsetters in the Australian Conference, rightly sat atop. Mate, they lost 1 game. And get this, that was in round 3 at home to the Highlanders, but Josh Ione, the fly half at the time for the Highlanders, kicked a conversion in the 83rd minute. So well after the siren had sounded, to hand the Highlanders a 1-point victory. They lost 1 game by 1 point. 3 minutes after the siren. This is a team who's
That's
very
as
good.
close as it gets.
Man, it is. And this is a team who I think has to be taken a bit more seriously in the greater Super Rugby fold, not just in the Australian system, but I think they'll walk through it pretty easily.
Yeah, and I'd say they don't really have that many stars.
Tom Banks, he played himself into a Wallabies 15 jersey. Easy, hands down. And he's actually been scrubbed out this weekend with a injury he sustained during the second off season or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a big loss, and can they recover from that? Solomon Carter's also out.
Yep.
The former Warriors player. That's tough. But, mate, if they can beat the Rebels, now the Rebels are a team who will come either second or third, in my opinion. So if they can beat them, and they should, the Rebels have got so much going on at the moment. Obviously, it goes without saying with the coronavirus stuff down in Victoria, of course, thoughts with people down there at the moment. But, if they can beat the Rebels, they're well on their way.
Oh, definitely. I definitely think that second place is reserved for either the Rebels or the Queensland Reds.
I think it's the finals, though.
Yeah.
Unlike in Aotearoa.
Oh, no, I think so, yeah.
Because in Aotearoa, it's just...
So it's going to be top 4.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. I was thinking about it the other day.
One team gets the boot.
I have no idea. This is something I don't actually know.
1 plays 4,
Dude,
2 plays 3.
They can't be... It's basically just cut the force now.
Cut the force out, yeah.
I don't actually know how it works, because there's a prelim final and then a final.
So that would be a semi.
No, I imagine it's 2v3.
Could be.
And then top gets a week off.
That probably is how it'll be.
Yeah, I'd have to look into it though. But
well, who do you have for taking home the chocolates?
Brumbies, easy.
Brumbies.
I think the Reds, they have the talent. I think they've made up ground. Isaac Rodder, Harry Hawkins, and Isaac Lucas left a bit of a hole. Mostly for the first mentioned name there. I think the other 2 were potential.
Yeah.
And they've filled those gaps with Angus Blythe replacing Hawkins and Josh Fluke.
Yeah. And also, you get to see Fraser McWright getting the first team for his first start this weekend. Friend of the show.
Three friends of the show. We have a lot of friends. That's okay.
Oh, friends.
Basically, donning the 7, 8, and 9 jerseys this weekend against the rivals. Actually, sorry, just quickly. You know the Waratahs had a pep talk by Paul Gallen?
Another one? Are you joking? Where's the joke here?
It's not a joke.
What happened?
They had a pep talk by Paul Gallen. That's
Why?
Not a joke. It's informative.
Why?
I don't know. It's because it's state of origin, mate, isn't it?
For God's sake.
Surely the Waratahs are going, okay, let's speak to someone successful. This is...
Hey, he's won a premiership.
He's won 1. Didn't he have like 10 attempts?
Probably, yeah.
You don't want a guy going, hey, guys, you probably won't
After
win.
10 tries.
You probably won't win this one, but you'll get them eventually if you keep going. Great.
If at first you don't succeed, try again.
No, but Fraser McWright,
Yep.
former Australian under-20s captain and friend of the show again. He was our guest in episode 1. So that's a bit of... He's the OG, as Gusman called him in the first recording. He gets his first ever Super Rugby start at 7, so
Just
congratulations to him. Because that's due to, again, the formation shifts, and Liam Wright, he goes to 6, Fraser McWright at 7, and Harry Wilson, who was only on the podcast about 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
he starts at 8, of course, and Tate McDermott, who was after Harry Wilson, actually.
Yeah, even sooner.
He starts at 9, of course, and I think there are 4 players, if you're including Wright, who could all contest for gold jerseys by the season's end. I think certainly Wilson and Tate, I think they're certainly in the fold.
Definitely.
Wright should be. You'd think as a super captain he should be in that fold, but...
Should be. But I think the release of those 3 players you mentioned before, the Rodders, Hocking, Lucas, I think that has provided opportunity more than anything, because we saw talent like Fraser McWright sitting on the bench most games, and we saw lots of backline talent that was not getting a run because of that. So I think it's actually quite a good thing. Obviously, you see Henry Spate has moved to France, so we're not going to be seeing him anymore. It's Deganu on the wing, which is quite interesting. It'll be good to see.
But he was
Obviously,
really
Jock
good.
Campbell.
Remember, I think it
I
was...
think he played a game.
No, it was
off
in the
bench.
pre-season trial, wasn't it? I think against the Rebels in like Gladstone or something. He scored 5 tries and then got a red card.
That's like the most up and down week.
Yeah, up and down game, pal.
Yeah.
But what about a loan system, actually? This is something we didn't talk about in the first
mate.
ever recording here. But someone, so say Rodder and stuff don't leave. Fraser McWright, as the former Australian under-20s captain, a player who I think won under-20s player of the year twice, sits on the bench. That's not right. What
No.
about a loan system where the Western Force go, hey, we're in the fold now. You know, we could use him. Tom Kibble sits on the bench. We could use him.
I love it.
Sam Wallace, who's now the UQ captain, he was brought into the Reds fold, another back rower. Again, they have an abundance of back row talent. What if the Force go, you know, we could actually do something
I love it.
with him? You know, I think that's something we've seen in league with the Warriors, of course, and the challenges that they're facing, of course, you know, not being able to bring their full squad over and whatnot. But, you know, if there's a loan system, I don't see the detriment in it, especially if there's a clause that says, okay, you can have this guy, but he either, you know, you could say things like he can't play against us.
And he has to play a certain amount of games.
That, and also, as soon as we want him back,
We can have
he's
him.
on a flight back.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. I think that's a really excellent, because we've seen so many times, especially with the Reds, obviously, probably happens at all teams, but we probably notice it more because it happens at the Reds. Obviously, we're in Queensland. But we've seen players go overseas, you know, Sam Green, Jack Cornelson, not getting games for the Reds, have gone to Japan, they're playing there now. I mean, Luke Morahan even is a little bit of that similar kind of story. Obviously, he did play for the Reds. Great try back in the day. But, you know,
there.
you were at that game.
Yeah, Morahan, yeah.
Fair play.
That was the first game I went to unaccompanied by an adult.
Oh, you bad boy, you.
Went with Ryan.
It's
We
like
were,
2013 or something?
yeah.
Fair play.
Yeah. Just absolute badasses, really, you know.
Really?
Just hey,
Yeah.
hit up the Caxton.
Easy. Hit up the Caxton on the way through. Knock one back. Head on in. No, but if you can see these players who aren't really getting a game for Queensland or any of the other super franchises, you know, send them to the Force for a
Loan
year.
them out, man. I think that's one rule change I would have liked to see.
Would've been cool.
Something we will say
That'd be revolutionary.
would be. And I don't see there's no issue with it.
No.
There's absolutely no issue. I think of Joe Marchant. He got loaned to the Blues from the Harlequins. Actually, he played his last game for the Blues last week. He's an English centre. I think he played 3 games or something for England. Loaned to the Blues, and obviously because of Corona and how things have changed, his loan ended after last week.
Yeah.
So he's now on, you know, back in the UK, I think, or at least on his way back, whatever. But basically, you know, let's see more of that.
Yeah.
You know,
I love
the
it.
Harlequins have a partnership with one of the
Stop tapping the desk.
Sorry.
Yeah.
With one of the New Zealand teams. I think the Crusaders have a partnership with Seattle.
Interesting.
What are they called? They're called something really weird.
I don't know. You're the MLR guy.
expert. Yeah, should be. Yeah, they have a partnership with Seattle.
Interesting.
The Hurricanes have a partnership with Toronto.
Hmm.
You know, exactly for this type of thing. So
Yeah. Well, before we head out, we're running out of time, but before we head out, I want to get your pick for player to watch in the Super Rugby. We didn't talk about this. This is fresh content. Who is your... I think I know who you're going to pick, but who is your player to watch?
I think Pasami, man.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think from the Queensland Reds, I think he's a bit of a bolter.
I like that.
I think Sami Karevi, of course, he's in Japan, has not reached the quota for the Ghetto Law Clause.
Mm-hmm.
So Pasami, just as he's done at state level, could fill Karevi's shoes at national level. That being said, I think Kuandrani probably his first dibs at the 13 jersey at the moment.
Yep.
But Pasami's great, man. Byron Ralston, he'll be another
Yeah, that's who I thought you'd say.
strong player for the Force. Of course, I taught him a thing or two. And under 13s, under 14s.
Sure you did.
I don't want to claim that. I actually do remember one time when I think I was playing 13, he was playing 12, and I had a terrible read in D, and you know they ran 40 meters and you know east under the post, whatever.
Sounds like me, mate.
And he was just telling me, you know, walking to the try line, you know, just do this better, don't rush it. I don't know. Basically,
Oh, you've been coached.
yeah, and I mean, I guess it had merit in the end because I thought he, you know, it seems like he has a thing knew a thing or two. I was
Yeah.
terrible at defense, man. Terrible
Yeah,
at
so was
defense.
I. That's how I broke my collarbone.
Yeah.
Twice.
I think
From tackling people.
there are a few players, though. Of course, a bloke who I didn't really know that well, but graduated my year, Trevor Jose. He's just been named to debut for the Melbourne Rebels. Of course, this bloke stands at 204 centimetres.
Whoa.
Giant.
Big boy.
Big boy. You know, he's someone who, you know, for his size alone, will intrigue rugby fans because if he can get his skills up to standard, why not unleash him?
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing with Darcy Swain. I don't know, there's so many players. I'm not going to spoil it because I think
Yeah.
I might write an article on it, Siege. But
I think you are writing an article
so
on it.
again, I don't want to give all my secrets away, but if you haven't read that article yet, by now, hopefully I would have written it. So go check it out, share it.
Where can they find that?
Rugby Park.
Rugbypass.com. You can go find the articles. He's got plenty of them. He shares them to our page as well, so make sure you go give him a
Was
read.
that a bad thing?
No, it's a
CJ?
good thing. I share things that I do for a certain company.
To be fair though, you don't claim it.
No,
I always mention, my name because I want people to know.
I don't. I just go, what a game. I don't go like, what fantastic editing here.
I don't
Like,
say that, no.
No, I do,
You know,
but like
what a
that would be.
wordsmith.
But I don't write.
Oh,
Players go out there and play. I just edit the videos. All right, I don't make the content. Well, I do make the content, but I don't make the video. You know what I
the
mean?
players tell the story.
I just arrange it.
I just put that story onto a page.
Exactly.
It's simple as that. Anyway, make sure to check us out on social media. Guys, we've told you this so many times already.
How do you not know
But
it?
in case you
already?
don't know it already, we are called Beyond the Sidelines. So a helpful hint might be to go on Facebook and type that exact phrase into the Facebook search bar and click on the green logo and give our page a like. Check out all the content. We're sharing a bunch of stuff now, as CJ mentioned. A lot of
Yes.
my stuff, a lot of his stuff, a lot of Gus. Never mind.
That's rough. That is rough. No, but we're sharing a lot more content, and you guys seem to be reacting fairly well to it.
Look, we want to
really
hear your
liking
thoughts,
it.
guys. We want to hear your thoughts. That's first and foremost. I think we're nearing 52, nearing the 1 year mark. I checked it. Our first episode came out on, I think it was August 2nd, pal. So we're very much nearing that mark. Getting a bit emotional. But again, make sure to check us out there. Of course, also on Instagram, where we do a lot more of our posts that we make ourselves.
Original content.
Original
But let us know what
content.
you want to see. If you want to see more sharing, more news on Instagram, if you want to see that on Facebook as well, let us know what you want to do. If you want to see more of us, let us know that. If you want to see more content, just let us know what you want to see, and we'll provide it. Hopefully, we can. We'll try to. That's it for today.